Today we're looking at flood protection systems in Poland, specifically projects like the Wrocław floodway system modernization and work along the Rodunia Channel in Gdansk.
That's right. We've got some case study materials here focusing on how they've upgraded things.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Clara.
Our mission today is to really understand the role of steel sheet piles in these huge infrastructure projects. ArcelorMittal supplied them, and we want to see why they're so important, especially given Poland's history with, well, some pretty serious floods. Okay, so let's talk about these steel sheet piles. For anyone listening who isn't familiar, what exactly are they and why use them for flood defense? You might picture them somewhere else.
That's a good point. Traditionally you might see them in harbors, maybe building temporary walls, cofferdams, things like that.
Right.
But their use has really expanded into river control and flood protection. Essentially, they're these long steel sections with interlocking edges. You drive them deep into the ground, one after another, to form a continuous, strong barrier.
Okay, a steel wall in the ground, basically.
Pretty much. And a big reason they were chosen for these Polish projects using the ArcelorMittal piles mentioned is their track record. I mean, they're proven technology, reliable, over 100 years old, actually.
Wow, okay.
And importantly, they tend to be cost-effective over the long term. Plus, installation is relatively fast.
And speed must be crucial when you're trying to prevent floods or, recover from one.
Absolutely. Getting protection in place quickly is vital.
So reliability, cost, speed. What else makes them suitable?
Well, the design itself is quite clever. The profiles, like Z-types or U-types, they're designed for maximum strength and durability, but without being excessively heavy.
Makes them easier to handle and drive in.
Exactly. And you can even drive them directly into water, which is obviously a huge advantage when you're working on rivers.
Right, don't need to drain the whole area first.
And they create a very watertight barrier. So for building new embankments, they provide support, stability, and crucially, they stop water seeping through.
Okay.
They're also great for strengthening existing embankments that might be getting old or aren't quite up to scratch anymore.
And in cities, space is often tight there.
Yeah, that's another advantage. You can use them to build freestanding flood walls, maybe anchored back, without needing a massive footprint like a traditional earth embankment might require.
So they're versatile.
Very. Inside an embankment, they can act as a cutoff wall. Think of it like an internal barrier that cuts off seepage paths through the soil.
So stopping water from undermining the structure from below.
Precisely. It reduces leakage and makes the whole embankment much more stable. It stops water finding weak spots and potentially causing a failure.
That makes sense.
And there are other practical benefits too. They resist things like burrowing animals or tree roots getting through, which can create hidden problems in earth banks.
Right, preventing that sort of internal erosion.
Yeah, what engineers call piping. And if you need to make a flood defense higher, often you can do that with sheet piles without needing to make the base wider.
That sounds really useful, especially in built-up areas.
Definitely. There are even indirect benefits, like lowering the water level within the embankment slope, which makes it more stable, and lengthening the path water has to take to seep through, reducing the risk of failure that way too.
Okay, so a whole range of advantages. Let's look at Wrocław then.
Wrocław sits on the Odra. It has multiple channels running through it. It's always been prone to flooding. They had a system built way back around 1923.
But the '97 flood just overwhelmed it.
Massively. The damage was extensive, so a huge modernization project was launched afterwards, and that's where ArcelorMittal came in, supplying over 14,000 tons of sheet piles for that job. A really key part was rebuilding something called Weir Wrocław No. 1. They used steel sheet piles there for the temporary works during construction, but also as permanent parts of the new Weir structure.
And the result?
It increased the hydraulic capacity, how much water it can handle, by almost 80%.
80%, that's a massive improvement in protection.
It really is. They also used sheet piling for constructing new fish passes, helping the local ecology too.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's switch to the other main example, Gdansk and the Rodunia Channel. It's got a long history too, right?
A very long history, built back in the 14th century, believe it or not.
Wow.
But in 2001, some really heavy rainfall hit the area, and the channel's embankments were just not in good shape.
So flooding occurred there too.
Yes, significant flooding in parts of Gdansk. The rehabilitation effort that followed really relied on steel sheet piles. They became the core of the rebuilt embankments over about 7.5 kilometers in Gdansk itself and another 2 kilometers nearby.
And why sheet piles there? Same reasons as Wrocław.
Pretty much the same core reasons. They needed something that could act as a retaining structure for the banks, could be installed quickly, which was critical after the flood damage, and would resist erosion from the river flow.
Makes sense.
It was a big job, over 12,500 tons delivered just in time for the first phase. And interestingly, they also thought about aesthetics. In many places, the sheet pile walls were covered with stones or bricks afterwards, so they blend in better.
Ah, okay, so it doesn't have to look purely industrial.
Not at all.
And these aren't the only projects, right?
Similar approaches using steel sheet piles on the Vistula near Sardoz, the Odra near Olawa and Kotois, upgrades in Grafino, even stabilizing a railway embankment near Klokoa and protecting riverbanks right in Wrocław's city channel.
So it seems this has become a fairly standard go-to solution for Poland's flood defense upgrades.
It really has. Synthesizing it all, you see those key advantages: speed, durability, that resistance to seepage and erosion, directly tackling the challenges faced in places like Wrocław and Gdansk and these other sites too.
Learning from those past devastating floods.
Exactly. Poland invested heavily in modernizing its defenses, and steel sheet piles, including those from ArcelorMittal, have clearly been a crucial and versatile part of that. They're cost-effective in the long run and just get the job done reliably.
So the big takeaway seems to be that these interlocking steel walls, driven deep into the ground, are a really effective and adaptable tool for strengthening flood defenses, especially based on the hard lessons learned from history.
Absolutely. A key piece of the puzzle.
It definitely makes you think, though. With climate change making extreme weather perhaps more unpredictable, what other kinds of innovative engineering will we need to rely on in the future to keep communities safe from, well, the power of nature?
That's the ongoing question, isn't it? Constant adaptation and innovation will be key.